there are some things that just don't come across on the radar gun or the stat sheet or, the TrackMan device that I think make this guy, a dog.
Let's hit the top prospect for the Cincinnati Reds. The name is Rhett Lowder. It's a prospect profile. Scott Braun, Baseball America's J.J. Cooper, and Geoff Pontes. J.J., the Reds have been trying to stack high-end pitching talent. Rhett Lowder up next here. What do you think?
I think that they've got another guy knocking on the door here. I'd be shocked. We saw Rhett Lowder at the end of 2024, and I would be shocked if we don't see him produce quality innings for the Reds in 2025. Although, to the Reds' credit, they've kind of loaded their rotation enough where, we'll see. We'll see on opening day or in the lead up to opening day whether he's going to crack that roster, that rotation from day one, or get a little bit more seasoning. But this is as we thought when he was coming out of Wake Forest, this is an extremely polished pitcher. And yeah, I almost want to say, almost apologize as I lay this out, because it's going to sound like I'm kind of damning him with faint praise. And I don't mean it that way. There is no pitch for Rhett Lowder that jumps out as that's like a Paul Skeens 80. That's like a Roki Sasaki splitter or anything like that. What really does stand out is just how all this fits together. He's got a good enough, he's got this arsenal pitches that all are kind of like 55s. Maybe it's a 60, maybe it's a plus pitch, an above average pitch if you really like it. But the key to all of this is you watch how he pitches when he's on, and he was on pretty much throughout his little MLB stint at the end of 2024. His command, his control is really advanced. He doesn't miss with bad misses. If he misses, he generally is going to miss in a spot where, okay, ball two, let's do this again. He doesn't miss where it leaks over the middle of the plate and gets crushed. He did that over and over. He's done that kind of going back to his college career at Wake Forest, where, if you do remember, he matched Paul Skeens pitch for pitch in Wake Forest versus LSU in one of the greatest College World Series games we'll probably ever see. You put it all together, and I would say that this is more like, this is a kind of a sum of the parts guy, where maybe the stuff just keeps getting a little bit better. I look at a guy like the path that Aaron Nola had with the Phillies, where Nola doesn't have blow you away velocity. He doesn't really have blow you away pitches, but it works year after year after year because he really knows how to pitch. He's really durable. He's really smart. That kind of describes Rhett Lowder, I would say, as well. But I will also say, it agonized as we did this Reds list, because you could go Rhett Lowder, you could go Chase Burns. By the way, another Wake Forest first-round pick for them, top of the draft. They've done it 2 years in a row here. And Geoff, I think, again, I'm going with the guy who's basically big league ready, but I think you could also make the case for Chase Burns, who's yet to really pitch in pro ball. But on the ceiling side, I would 100% agree that if Chase Burns hits his ceiling and Rhett Lowder hits his ceiling, Chase Burns is going to end up being the better pitcher. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, just as the resident stuffist in-house here, meaning I care more about stuff than I do necessarily about.
I used to be that guy. You stole that from me.
And pitchability, I would lean on Burns. I think there's maybe some other elements of Burns' profile that we haven't totally seen against high-level competition. Some of the talk around him, in the fall, and some of the workouts that were happening in Arizona were that he was only throwing with the major league ball. So this could be another player, just like Lowder last year, that we see sort of streamlined right into that big league rotation as early as the end of this season. That being said, I do want to sort of give Rhett Lowder his flowers. When you look at execution, when you look at pitchability, and I think you sort of nailed it with the Nola comp of somebody who's going to go in there, they're going to understand their opponents, they're going to understand the spots and the zones that they need to land particular pitches, how they have to sequence certain guys. He's going to do all that work. And sort of dating back to, talking to his former pitching coach, Corey Mascara at Wake Forest, when I was, doing some sort of draft work for us in my early days here at BA, that was something, even as an underclassman, when he pitched here at Boston College, that Corey really called out. This guy just has a very cerebral understanding of pitching, that he doesn't have to have the biggest stuff because he knows how to hit his spots. He knows how to make everything sort of dovetail nicely within his arsenal. So he does execute, he does get those outs, and can get through lineups efficiently without having to just forcibly try to strike everybody out, which I think at times that can be sort of the knock on Burns. So when we compare the two, I think when you're looking at Lowder, he's just a more polished, more major league ready. But that's not to say that he doesn't have upside when he finally does face, major league competition over his 30 plus starts and sort of gets his feet wet and has major league coaching and access to all of the, additional things, nutrition, whatever it might be, that could take his game up another level. I think that you could see that because of the type of sort of individual and makeup that you have with a guy like Lowder. So there are some things that just don't come across on the radar gun or the stat sheet or, the TrackMan device that I think make this guy, a dog.
The things that stand out for me, we saw it last year. Like at the start of the season, Lowder kind of got beat around for the first time, I would say, really, I don't know, maybe in his life, but especially like his first time really as a high level amateur as a pro. And he made adjustments. He kind of realized, okay, that four seamer that I've really relied on isn't kind of going to be my my calling card. Started using the sinker more. I think that that's one of the things that you're going to be looking at with a guy like Rhett Lowder, and that's what makes kind of projecting pitching so fun, but also so challenging. Is what he is right now is what he is right now. We know that he had one of the best strike percentages in the minors last year. He throws a ton of strikes. He can locate. But if you told me that 3-4 years from now, one of his best pitches is a pitch he doesn't throw right now, wouldn't shock me, because I think as he goes through, the hitters are going to show him what he needs to improve, same way that he's going to show hitters what they need to improve at. And it's going to be kind of this point counterpoint. This isn't a guy who's just going to rear back and blow guys away. So if you told me that he's going to tinker, that he's going to add this pitch, maybe it's a cutter this year, or it's a slider that's a little different, or split, whatever it is, like I think that he has the way to kind of add, subtract, do different things, and he has the aptitude to do that. We saw that again, to take it to an extreme example, because the guy he faced in Omaha, but we saw that with Paul Skeens last year, who kind of perfected and refined a pitch that he barely threw in college to kind of help take him to Rookie of the Year status. If you told me that Rhett Lowder is going to kind of keep tinkering over the next few years, he's smart enough that it would not surprise me at all if he did that.
Yeah, and if you're excited as a Reds fan about the rotation that you have, but you feel like you want a little bit more, especially of top-end talent, here we're talking about Lowder getting you excited, and we're talking about Burns getting you excited. And this helps to tell the story of why the Reds have been going in this direction early in drafts, JJ. They also have trouble, understandably, recruiting pitchers to Cincinnati as free agents.
I will say also, though, if you're a Reds fan and you're saying that, and I would say like, well, Hunter Green is kind of like, that's about as high octane as it gets. So like you got one, like, so now we're hoping to add 2 and 3 to that. But no, this is what the Reds are doing really well right now. They need help in the lineup. Ellie De La Cruz can't do it all by himself. But if you look at this rotation, it's going to be deeper than 5-man deep, a 5-man rotation with guys who should be very plausible starters. Nick Martinez can kind of do whatever they want with him because he can swing back and forth. And then you go a year from now and you add back in a Brandon Williamson and a Julian Aguiar, who kind of fit into that as well as they come back from injury. That the pitching staff wise, Reds looking up, looking pretty promising right now.
Yeah, it's good news for the long term for this team. So if you want more on the Cincinnati Reds, you can obviously check out Baseball America. Get yourself a subscription if you don't have one already. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check us out weekly on our show called Hot Sheet, and we'll keep rolling out top prospects team by team as we go through the offseason here.